The following video has got everything you need to know going into Game Week 34. This is the final video, by the way, that I'll be recording in my hotel room. I'll be back in my home setup for the next one, so the lighting and everything and the audio, there's a little bit of echo in this room, so hopefully that will all be back to normal when I get back to my bedroom. Like every video of these I make, I'm going to go through the top players for expected points by position, starting off with the goalkeepers and defenders. We've got Alisson and Trent top for goalkeepers and defenders, respectively. Ederson in second, followed by Steele, De Gea, Fabianski, and Pope. Obviously, really, the top goalkeepers are all the ones with the double game week, bar Leno, who has Man City and Liverpool, which for me pretty much counts as a single game week. Trent, Robertson, Stones, Van Dijk, Diaz, Konate are the top defenders. Again, they, Man City and Liverpool have the strongest double game week, in my opinion, of all the teams, along with Man United. Maguire's down there on 7.7 points with his double as well. So you can see the rest of the players on those lists there. Next up, we've got the midfielders and strikers. So Salah leads the way for midfielders with 15.9 expected points. And Erling Haaland leads the way for forwards on 18. I don't think this season I've seen an expected points total higher than 18. That's just absolutely ludicrous. And that's what he's expected to get. 18 points is a very good haul, and that's what he's expected to get this week. That's how good Haaland is as an option. So I'm actually a little bit jealous of people that if you've got your triple captainship left, if you've been patient, held on to it for this long, now is the time to use it. I mean, Fulham and West Ham, a fantastic double game week for Man City. They've just beaten Arsenal. Confidence is going to be on a high. You'd imagine they'd put the teams to the slaughter that they've got left for the rest of the season. He's followed by Diogo Jota and Ciso from Brighton. These figures don't necessarily take into account expected minutes, so some of these players might not be expected to start, so you have to factor in your own sort of expected minutes calculations for there. Followed by Martial, Undav, Antonio and Jesus. Really, the summary this week for forwards is there's a real shortage of good double game week forwards. So, if you're on your free hit, I've already made a free hit video. But it makes sense to really go into this week with only one or two strikers, really, and pack your team with midfielders. As you can see there, the list for midfielders is very extensive for good midfielders with a double game week. Salah leads the way, followed by De Bruyne, Grealish, Rashford, Gakpo, Foden, Gundogan. You can see the rest of the players there. Obviously, the Brighton triple midfield at the bottom. Now, I don't think I've ever seen a player with an 87% chance of scoring a goal in an FPL game week. I mean, for me, this pretty much settles Haaland as the best captain for the game week. I think Salah is in with a shout, but I just think with the underlying numbers that Haaland has and his, expected points, his goal odds, he is the strongest captain. 91% chance of goal involvement this week. Salah 84, De Bruyne 82, Rashford 77, along with Diogo Jota. And then for goal scoring odds, second place again is Salah. Third is Rashford with 67, Diogo Jota, Martial and Gakpo on 66, 61 and 58. And you can see the rest of the players on the list there. On now to the clean sheet odds. It's difficult to rank teams by combined percentages for clean sheets because I think, and correct me if you're a maths guru in the comments, but I think it's really difficult to add up percentages for individual scenarios of likelihood of things happening. So Man City to keep a clean sheet against Fulham cannot be added up to Man City to keep a clean sheet against West Ham for the two to be combined. I think it's almost statistically impossible to do that. If I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments. It's not just a case of, they're 108% chance of getting a clean sheet. It doesn't work like that because they're individual outcomes. But regardless, we can see the teams that we like to pick from, right? And I'll start with Man City. Obviously, they have the best clean sheet odds. They've got 2 games above 50% to keep a clean sheet in. But the problem is with the Man City defence is who's going to play both the games? I don't think there is a defender you can say is genuinely nailed to play both of them. I think they're going to rotate between the two. Maybe Ruben Diaz plays both the games, but I'm just not that sure. So although they look really good, I think I'd be avoiding them just because, you don't know who's going to play both games. Liverpool look really good, in my opinion, for clean sheet odds at least. Whether they actually keep clean sheets, I don't know. But I feel like Trent and Robertson are good options because they're going to play both of the games, or at least you think they play both of the games. The clean sheet odds are pretty good, and obviously we know they're great going forwards as well. Brighton and Man United, both with good doubles. They obviously play each other this week, but I think looking at how the semi-final of the Cup went, I know like that's a bit of a, a semi-final factor that's going to make the game a bit cagey, but I feel like both teams kind of cancelled each other out. Wan-Bissaka did a job on Mitoma, and I feel like Luke Shaw played excellently at centre-back as well, and I feel like that could happen again in the Brighton Man United fixture, which means I think both teams have got a good chance of clean sheets this week. You can see the rest of the single game week teams that have good clean sheet odds as well. Anything below sort of 30% is my usual rule for not really backing a team to keep a clean sheet in a game week. And obviously when making transfers for game week 34, obviously it makes sense to look at the double game week in 34. We can all see that in front of us, but we need to be cognizant of the upcoming fixtures as well, because there are teams with additional double game weeks this week. Obviously Brighton have 3 double game weeks to finish off this season, which is just absolutely absurd. And I think it absolutely makes sense, if you're not already, to try and triple yourself up on Brighton, because I feel like you're only going to fall back in rank if you're not. Looking at the, the double game week fixtures, Arsenal, Newcastle in 36 is a bit tough, but Brighton are so good. I feel like they could score, probably won't keep a clean sheet, but could score in either of those fixtures. And then 37, Southampton, Man City. I feel like they could quite easily score against Southampton. Man City, they're not the best defensively. I know they're top of the league, but they seem to be conceding goals almost every game. Chelsea got one in 37, but I don't really fancy that double game week, or just Chelsea in general. Obviously, ignoring Fulham's double in 34, that's basically a single game week, if that even. Liverpool look really good for 34, and whilst they don't have a double, Brentford, Leicester, Villa and Southampton is a great run of fixtures, so I would not be afraid to hold on to some Liverpool assets for the long term. Again, Man City look really good. The question is who's going to play. I've got Jack Grealish at the moment. He seems to be nailed in that left wing position, at least until Foden gets back to full fitness. So I think, going into game week 34, he's a great option. And I think we just monitor that going for 37. Obviously, Haaland is absolutely essential to your team and is probably the captain for both of those game weeks. I'll come on to another couple of Man City players in a second. Man United, I think, are great. I'm going to try and get myself tripled up on them, I think, because 34 looks good for clean sheets, in my opinion. I feel like Villa at home is a clean sheet worthy fixture, as well as Brighton. Then Bournemouth and Chelsea in 37, those are great fixtures as well. Rashford is a great option, as we all know. I think Bruno, a great option, and probably a defender from United. Newcastle and Isaac, particularly at the moment, are looking really, really good. The assist that he got in the game in 33 was unbelievable. And I think he's a cracking player. So he's almost like an enabler, if you like. If you're looking to go from, for example, Harry Kane to Mo Salah in a double move, Isaac's probably the player to bring in to fund that. And then as for West Ham, I know they've got a double this week, but Crystal Palace, Man City, it's not horrendous. Like, you could see Bowen getting in a return or something like that in probably both of the games, to be fair. As I said with Man City, I feel like they're still conceding goals despite playing really well. So, maybe West Ham could score a goal in that game as well. But yeah, that concludes things for the fixtures. Just a run through of what we got coming up. On now then to some players to buy. And for me, my top target for game week 34, if you don't already have him, is Mo Salah. I said he was the top player for expected points in game week 34. That's now changed after Haaland's performance against Arsenal. But regardless, I think he's a great option. I know he's not top, but I think, with the points total he's expected, it's over, 15.9 expected points. It's absolutely ludicrous. And I feel like even for a hit, he's worth bringing in on top of what some of the expected points say for other players. For me as well, when you analyse that Liverpool attack, I'm not sure there are many you can back to play every game apart from Mo Salah. There are 5 or 6 players I think Liverpool have now to go in those front 3 positions. Salah's got it nailed on the right, you got to think, and then it's up to the other two positions, whoever Klopp picks. So I think for me, Salah is absolutely essential. 34 is fantastic double. I mean, Spurs and Fulham at home, you couldn't really ask for much more than that. And I know Liverpool have not been having their best season, but I don't think Salah's level has dropped too much. Obviously, the level of creativity that Liverpool have has dropped, but Salah's underlying numbers, 0.77 expected returns per 90, are still fantastic. And yeah, I just think he's the top option to bring into your team. Next up, we've got Marcus Rashford. He's very similar, in my opinion, to Mo Salah in terms of player quality, although I think Salah's fixtures just edge it. Aston Villa and Brighton, I think, are tougher than Fulham and Liverpool games. For me, he's absolutely essential to that Man United team going forward. He's going to start every game that he's fit for. In fact, I think there's a bit of a risk that Ten Hag is going to overuse him and re-injure him, to be honest. So that's one thing to look out for. But I think going into game week 34, he looks fully fit and he's definitely a player to be bringing in. He's absolutely Man United's star player in FPL this season, without a question. Obviously, Bruno's been great, but Rashford has been the one really getting the attacking returns, and it's 7.1 million. I mean, he's absolutely incredible value. With that double in 34 as well, I think he's essential this week and for holding long term with their double in 37. And then looking in the bottom right, the only thing, bottom right down there, the only thing that might put you off is his underlying numbers. If you look on FBref, as I do at most players, his stats are not amazing compared to the rest of the game. Like, he's on a level sort of with Saka and Martinelli. Obviously, they're great players regardless, but you'd expect with the level he's been performing at, he'd be slightly higher. Ultimately, though, Rashford's form has really kicked off since the World Cup. So, you've got to take that into account when looking at season-long figures. Now, I mentioned these two in my buy and avoid video and when going through the fixtures as well. I just think Trent and Robertson are worth a shout in your team, purely because I'm not sure, beyond Salah, who the best players for Liverpool are. Obviously, they've got likes of Jota, Nunez, Firmino, Gakpo. But can you back all of them to play the double in 34? I think that's the question you've got to ask yourself. Whereas if you look at Trent and Robertson, I think you really can back them to start both of the games of the double. Maybe Trent more so than Robertson, because Trent's got no competition for that right-back spot. Whereas obviously Robertson has Tsimikas waiting in the wings. And I think regardless of Liverpool's clean sheet odds as well, these two have been getting quite a lot of attacking returns recently. And they've always got that to fall back on if Liverpool are not keeping clean sheets. I also think when you look at the fixtures, Liverpool at Anfield is a completely different beast to Liverpool away from home. And I feel like with the games they've got left at Anfield, long term and now, they really could keep some clean sheets. And I think if you can consider, I think their difference from being at home and away, they're good options. And that's the end of the video. I just wanted to use this final segment to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers on the channel. We hit the milestone yesterday, and honestly, I'm just so pleased. I just want to thank you all for your support, watching the channel, and make a promise to you that things are only going to get bigger and better on this channel going forward. I don't see any reason to ever stop making these videos. I just really enjoy it. If you're new around here, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe. And generally, if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like, and I'll catch you back home in the next one.